welcome back to Never Enough Novels. It's time for another book haul. I have an absolute ton of books to share with you today from a bunch of different places. One is a used bookstore I went to on vacation. I have my latest book of the month selection, a few books from publishers, and a romance that I got from the library recently. I'm going to put the links to all of these books down below, so if you find any you're interested in, you can grab them from Amazon or Target. It helps support this channel too. Let's jump into the three books that I got from that cute little bookstore first. The place was called Green Valley Book Fair, and it was like a warehouse just packed with tons and tons of books, and everything was insane prices. So like you can see like $6.99 for a book. This one was $4.99. The other one was $6.99 for an actual like sprayed edges hardcover, which was just insane. So I tried to limit myself, but still ended up with three selections. The first one was Five Broken Blades by May Corland. Obviously this caught my eye because of those sprayed edges. I just like cannot resist that in a book. And I remember seeing this was a book of the month selection a little while ago. So it's a fantasy book. It's about five killers or assassins who were selected to complete this one task. So these five people are used to kind of being loners and doing their own thing, but they now have a common goal to kill the king of the land because he's like a bad person. So someone has contracted them to work together to try and kill the king. These five people are well-versed in deception, lies, and betrayal, but now they're finding themselves in a situation where they actually have to learn to trust each other in order to survive and complete this assignment. So it sounds like a pretty unique fantasy. Definitely, I'm like really curious to see each of these five personalities and how they work together. And I think the story jumps back and forth between each of their perspectives, which will probably keep it pretty fast-paced. So this is also part of a series. I think the second book has already come out in the series. So it's one that you can kind of continue on if you like it as well, but I'm pretty excited to get into this and see what this is all about. The next book I picked up is Positively Penelope by Pepper Basham. So I've read this author before, and she's a great recommendation if you're looking for really cute rom-com type books that are clean romances. So she doesn't have any like spicy scenes in her books, so she's great for that. But I like her writing. It's like the quintessential kind of adorable romance book. And her previous book that I've read is called Authentically Izzy. You can kind of see it on the bottom there. And I think this is kind of in the same world as that one, but you don't have to have read that book first. So this one features a girl named Penelope who has been told that she possesses a certain fairy tale heroine quality. She is full of optimism and glass half full, like rose-colored glasses, and everyone kind of knows her as like the sunshiny, always happy personality. And she's taking on a new role as a marketing intern at the historic Darling House Theater on the island of Skymar. So that's a reference to this location from the previous book, Authentically Izzy. So I'm excited to kind of maybe get those glimpses from that book in this one as well. So this Darling Theater is run by the Gray family, but they have been stuck in a rut of darkness ever since the loss of their matriarchs. So now the theater is sort of dying, and it's been left to three siblings who don't really know what to do to save the theater. So enter Penelope, who is basically going to make it her mission in life to save this theater. Apparently this one is told through a lot of like texts and emails in that epistolary format, which I absolutely adore, and I haven't read a book that's kind of taken that format in a while. I feel like there was a trend a while ago where we would get a lot of texts and emails in romance books, but that's sort of dropped off a little bit. I absolutely adore that style though, so I think that's going to be really cute for this one. And the last book that I picked up from there is called Drowning by T.J. Newman. So this is a book that I've already read, but I didn't actually own a copy yet. T.J. Newman is one of my all-time favorite thriller authors. I recommend her to absolutely everyone who wants like heart-pounding, fast-paced thriller. She was previously a flight attendant, so she has a lot of inside information about how the airline industry works. So all of her thrillers take place either on a plane or somewhere within that world. And in this one, a plane has crashed to the bottom of the ocean, but there is like a pocket of sealed air that has kept people alive after the crash. So now we are in a race against time to save these people who are left alive and working through the logistics of trying to rescue people from the depths of the ocean, and also instructing them on how they can keep their like pocket of air like lasting longer. So this one was just absolutely insane. I adored it so much, and it's one of those books that I'm excited to reread because I read it so fast the first time that I'm sure I missed some things, and I want to savor it a little bit more with my reread to really get into the story and like make sure I didn't miss anything. Then a few of the books that I got from publishers recently, one of these was Bridesmaid by Chance by Megan Quinn. So a huge thank you to Bloom Books and Good Girls PR who sent this copy my way. I'm now like officially part of Megan Quinn's PR team, which is so exciting because I adore her romances. They're always full of spice and great banter and laugh out loud moments. So I am thrilled to see what else she comes up with. Bridesmaids by Chance is the third book in her, I guess, Bridesmaid for Hire series. So the first one's called Bridesmaids for Hire, the second one's called Bridesmaids Undercover, and this one is now Bridesmaids by Chance, and it features different people within the same kind of world. So it helps to have read the first two books, but they also can be read as standalones because the only thing you're really going to miss out on is a little bit of backstory and like the couples that we've already met. So in Bridesmaid by Chance, we meet Hudson Hopper, who has recently done his business partner a favor by taking on Jude's younger sister Sloane as his assistant. But he quickly finds out that she is an absolutely massive distraction for him. Things get more complicated when Hudson volunteers Sloane to fill in as a bridesmaid for a potential client, and she agrees. She will be part of this over-the-top Regency wedding, corsets and all, if Hudson marries her. So these two enter into a marriage of convenience where they're both getting something out of this arrangement. So Hudson needs Sloane to help get into a high society club that will secure a future business deal, and Sloane needs some money for a down payment on her childhood home in return. Initially, Hudson is so against the idea. This would be wildly out of character for him, but Sloane wins him over and he agrees to the deal. She assures him that no one will find out. It will just be under the radar and for the benefit of them both, and then they'll cut things off. But as these marriage of convenience tropes tend to happen, they always end up actually falling for each other, and I can't wait to see that happen with these two. Next book I got is called The Friendship Fling by Georgia Stone, and this one comes out in early June. I think this would be a really fun book for summer because it takes place in London and they do a lot of touristy things throughout the book, so it's kind of the perfect vacation book. And a huge thanks to Harper Perennial for sending this one my way. So The Friendship Fling features Ava, who is not normally what you would call a people person, but she is working in a busy London coffee shop. Her best friend Josie is going to be leaving soon for a year, so Ava is sort of not looking forward to the year ahead because she knows she'll be alone unless she does something to shake up her current routine. Then who walks into the coffee shop but an insufferably cheerful Finn O'Callahan, who gives her this horrifying proposal where they will basically spend the summer together as friends only, doing all different touristy things throughout the town. Finn needs a local to help him complete his London bucket list, and Ava needs someone to kind of reassure Josie that she'll be okay and will survive the summer and not just hole up in her apartment by herself. To Ava's surprise, their mismatched friendship, I love that this is kind of a grumpy sunshine trope, but in the opposite direction, with the guy being the sunshiny one and the girl being the grump. So they actually develop a really solid friendship as they go and do all these different touristy things together. Ava realizes that Finn's company is actually very welcome, but she has very specific rules for this arrangement and she is determined to stick to them, even if she starts to hope that maybe something more would develop between them. This is my first time reading this author, and I absolutely adore books set in London, so I am really excited to get into this one, and I think it will be a perfect book for the spring-summer time frame. Next up is my book of the month choice for April, and that is Passion Project by London Sperry. This was honestly the only romance book that they selected for April, so I knew absolutely nothing about it, but I'll have to admit I was drawn in by the adorable cover and the fact that it's set in New York, so we're just going to give it a shot and see how it goes. The book is about Bennett, who is supposed to be living the best years of her life in her 20s, but she feels like she's failing miserably. She's just a temp worker in New York City right now and feels like she has no direction and no energy to figure out what she wants to do with her life. When she's set up on a first date with Henry Adams, she drunkenly confesses to him that she is not ready to love again. She hasn't been able to find passion for anything lately, and that's partly due to the fact that she's still getting over the grief from the loss of her very first love. But despite their sort of disaster of a first date, Henry sees this as an opportunity to help Bennett out, and he gets her to agree to this harebrained scheme where they will basically try a new activity out each Saturday to find her passion again. Whether it's a new hobby or some sort of tourist activity, they're going to basically try everything to see if they can find something that will spark a little bit of life in Bennett again. So they do everything from trying out photography to getting tattoos to rappelling off the side of skyscrapers. As they start to spend more time together and get to know each other, some of the secrets that Bennett has held close to her heart start to surface, and she's forced to acknowledge this grief that she has held onto for so long. I feel like there's been a little bit of a trend lately in romance novels with dealing with like heavy topics of grief in the characters that are involved and kind of how they've moved on to potentially find new love or a new life. And it has been handled so well in the few books that I've read. So it's like a really heavy topic, but they still managed to make these books lighthearted and full of hope. And I've heard good things from other readers about this one so far. So I think that this is going to be another excellent addition to that sort of trend in romance books. And I'm really excited to get to know Bennett and see what her and Henry get up to on the weekends. It sounds like a really fun book for summer as they just go through all these different activities and try out different hobbies together. And she sort of gets to work through her grief in a way that's unexpected but might just be perfect for her. And the last book I'm going to share today is Fall into Temptation by Lucy Score, which is a book that I just saw on my library shelves and picked up on a whim. I adore this author, and I've read a lot of her more recent books, so now I want to start to get into more of her backlist. She has a ton of books to her name, and a lot of them are in like small town romance series. So this is one of them. I actually thought it was the first book in the series, but I was wrong. It's book number 2. But they seem to be able to be read as standalones for the most part, so I didn't feel like I'm missing out on anything so far. But this is part of her Blue Moon, like small town romance series, and it's just like a really cute contemporary rom-com. I'm about maybe 50 pages in so far, and it features a guy named Beckett who is like the most eligible bachelor, and I think he's actually the mayor of this small town, and he meets the new owner of the yoga studio in town and is like immediately enchanted with Gia. But they get home later that night and realize that she is actually his tenant. So despite this spark between them, they decide that they shouldn't really pursue anything because that would be like unprofessional and cross some boundaries. Gia also comes with 2, I think they're her stepkids, and Beckett isn't like interested at all at first, but the kids kind of win him over. There's also some drama between their families and some connections that make any relationship between them seem off limits and really complicated. But they can't deny that there is an attraction there. So we've kind of got a novel about how they are constantly intertwined in each other's lives and are trying to fight this attraction, but just might give into it anyway. This sounds like it has all of the typical small town nosiness and interconnection between characters that is just so fun to read. So I'm loving it so far, and I'm excited to keep going. Again, it's nothing earth-shattering, just like a really cute contemporary rom-com. So that wraps up all of the books that I've acquired recently. Let me know in the comments if you saw any that you're particularly interested in or you want me to try out sooner than later. Or let me know if you've purchased any books or found any books lately that you're really excited about. And as always, make sure you hit like on this video and subscribe to see even more of these book hauls and get book recommendations in the future.